Hi everyone. Today we are just going to see the topic reproduction in plants. Okay, so before entering into the topic, we should know what is reproduction, right? So reproduction is nothing but it's a production of the new individuals from their parents. So from their parents, the new things or new organisms are going to form. In a plants, the new plants are going to form from the parental plants. So this we call it as reproduction. So there are two types of reproduction. So there are two types of reproduction. One is asexual reproduction. Another one is sexual reproduction. So what is the difference between asexual and sexual? So it is nothing but asexual, it happens without the help of the seeds. That means through the vegetative parts like stems, roots, leaves. That itself it is going to be a new plant. So that we call it as asexual reproduction without the interference of the reproductive part. That means the seeds. That this reproduction is going to happen. Sexual reproduction means you all know that it happens with the help of the seeds. It happens through the reproductive parts. Okay, so there are two parts which is going to help in the reproduction. One is vegetative parts, which is going to help for the asexual reproduction, and for a sexual reproduction, the reproductive parts are going to help. Okay, so in a asexual reproduction, there are certain types. What are they? Are vegetative propagation, spore formation. Okay, I'm just writing it in the short notes. Spore formation, fragmentation, and none other than budding. Okay, so there are four types how the asexual reproduction is going to happen: vegetative propagation, spore formation, fragmentation, and budding. So what is vegetative propagation? I told you. See, you could see the potato like this, right? The stem part is going to become into the new potato. Even you could see the rose plant, even money plant. When you are just cutting the stem and you are just seeding it, it is going to become into the new plant. Okay, so the stem or the leaf or the root is going to become into the new plant. That we call it as vegetative propagation. For example, the stem part of the potato is going to become into the new plant. If you take the sweet potato, the root part of the sweet potato is going to become into the new plant. Okay, the onion also you can see the stem part is going to become into the new plant. And here the ginger, even if you are taking the ginger and you just seeding it is going to become into the new plant. It is also the stem part. Okay, so these are the stem parts. For a leaf part, so a few plants are just growing from their leaves, like bryophyllum. It is going to become into the new plant through the leaves. Okay, so the second one, spore formation. It is particularly happen in the fungus and ferns. Okay, so the fungus, you all know that the fungi will be making the spores, right? The spores will germinate and it will become into the new plant. And fragmentation, as I told you, fragmentation is nothing but one plant, it will fragment to the two, breaks into the two, and that two it is going to become into the new plant. For example, spirogyra. So the one plant is going to become into the two plant, and the two new plants, it is going to grow into the two new plants. Budding. So budding happens mainly for the yeast. So yeast, what will happen? One small projection will be growing on the yeast. That we call it as buds. Okay, that bud is going to become into the new cell, like new yeast cell. Okay, so these are the asexual reproduction. When coming to the sexual reproduction, we need the female part and we need the male part. So these are the very, very, very important thing in the sexual reproduction. For example, if you could see few plants are unisexual, few plants are bisexual. What is the meaning of unisexual and bisexual? Yes, unisexual is nothing but few plants will be having only the female reproductive part in their flower, or male reproductive part in their flower. Okay, so only one part will be there, that we call it as unisexual. So what is bisexual? Bisexual means nothing but both the reproductive part, even the female and male will be present in the same flower. For example, shoe flower, it's a best example, right? You could see both the reproductive parts in the same flower. This we call it as bisexual. So for a sexual reproduction, the flower is the only important thing we need it. Okay. So now we will see what are the parts in the flower. See, I'm just going to explain the parts using the flower itself, so it will be very easy for you to understand. See, for example, what is the male part? The stamen. See, even you could easily find out stamen. Men. It's a male part, stamen. Where is the stamen? So this we call it as stamen. Okay. The stamen will be like this. Okay. So stamen will be like this. This is the anther part. And this is the filament. So in a stamen part itself, we have two parts, anther and the filament. So anther is going to hold the yellow color pollen. The pollen, what you could see in the flower, right? That part we call it as pollen. Okay, so it is going to help in the pollination and fertilization. So next one, it's a pistil. So pistil is nothing but it's a female part. Pistil is a female part. In a pistil, we could see the three parts. What are they? Is stigma, style, ovary. See, this part we call it as stigma. This elongated part we call it as style. And you could see the U-shaped part inside this. That we call it as, I will show you what is that. So that we call it as ovary. Okay, so if we are just dissecting the flower, we could easily see the ovary part. Inside the ovary, ovules will be there. Okay. So these are the main parts of that. I am telling only the female and the male part. Okay. So these two are the main parts. Now what is pollination? So pollination is nothing but when the pollen from the anther, it is going to stick on to the stigma. It is just transferring to the stigma, that we call it as pollination. See, there is a lot of difference between pollination and fertilization. Okay, so only it is transferring to the stigma, that we call it as pollination. But fertilization is nothing but this pollen from the anther, when it sticks to the stigma, it slowly travels to the style and then ovary and inside the ovules. Right, when it is just fusing with the female part, ovules. Ovules are very egg-like structure. It is like an egg-like structure inside the ovary. Okay, so when it is fusing with that we call it as fertilization. Okay, so there is a huge difference between pollination and fertilization. You should know the difference between that two. Clear? There are two types of pollination. One is cross-pollination. Another one is self-pollination. Self-pollination is nothing but the same flower. See, this flower, it is having a female part as well as male part. Okay. So this pollen, when it is sticking to the same stigma, the same flower stigma, that is a self-pollination. But cross-pollination means when the pollens, when it is going to stick on to the other flowers stigma, then it is a cross-pollination. I hope that you all got the point, right? Just have I'll just summarize whatever I taught you. There are two types of the reproduction: asexual, sexual. Vegetative propagation, spore formation, fragmentation and budding comes under asexual reproduction. And vegetative propagation means the vegetative parts are going to become into the new plant. Spore formation, certain organisms, what they will do, certain plants, they will produce the spores. So the spores will germinate and it will become into the new plants. Fragmentation, the plant itself break into two and fragment into two and it is going to become into the new plant. And budding, budding is nothing but small projections will be formed on the plant and then it will be just growing into the new plant. And sexual reproduction, female and male part. The male part is the stamen, anther filament is there, and the pollen will be held by the anther. Okay, so in it's a pistil is the female part. There are three parts. Interior of that there are three parts: stigma, style, ovary. Inside the ovary, ovules are there. When the pollen from the anther, when it is sticking to the stigma, that is a pollination. When it stick to the stigma and then it travels down to the style, ovary, ovals, finally it is getting attached to the ovals, right? That process we call it as fertilization. Okay, thanks for giving chance for me, and I hope that you all understood this topic. Thank you.